So I'm going to just reread this principle number 7, which says we affirm the moral responsibility of individuals and that we make our happiness or unhappiness as we obey or disobey nature's physical and spiritual laws. And so today I wanted to talk a little bit about natural law. And I started rereading, going through my information again. And there's so much to understand before you can even talk about natural laws. Natural laws being, the law of the divine law of oneness, the law of attraction, the law of vibration. But there's some things that we need to understand first. First is energy. We have to redefine what we think energy is, right? Because the way I see it now, even as I look out there, it is all energy to me, right? It is all almost like ones and zeros. It's all energy, no matter where I look, no matter what name I give that thing, whether it's a car, it's a tree, it's the chair in the healing section, it's the picture on the wall, right? It's the sun, it's the sunflower. It's just energy, right? Everything, we have to start thinking about it. Again, if you want to find out where we want to go, these are one of the steps you have to do. You have to find out, what do I define energy as, or what is energy? And so everything we should know is energy. And so energy, we can't really create energy, right? Energy is there. We can master it. We can redirect it. It changes into other things, but we don't create energy. It's something that's already there, right? So the space in between us is energy. It's there, right? And so we need to realize that we are almost swimming in the sea of energy almost. No matter where you go, everything is energy, including ourselves, right? That's why we talk about chakras. Everybody has chakras, right? Sometimes we call them wheels of light. But they're energy centers included in your physical body, or anchored in your physical body. So those are energy centers. So again, we have to look at, we are also energy. Every single one of us. And again, so as we are part of this one energy, that's the law of divine oneness. There's only one energy. And then we are just individuations of that one energy. And then if we are one energy, then everybody knows, or has the potential to know, what everybody else is doing, because we're in the same energy, right? So, and that's how we will, once we start looking at that, then we will go hug trees more, because you're going to realize that, that's a living being. Or even if it's a rock, at some level, that's a living being, because everything is energy. Even your car is energy. It might look like something hard, but again, at some level, it's just energy. And then we'll be able to talk about communicating with energy, or with ourselves, or with trees. Again, if you're communicating with trees, you're just pretty much saying, okay, I am part of that tree, and so I understand all the information going back and forth. And that's why you have pet whisperers or animal whisperers, because everything is talking in a certain language, communicating in a certain language. And we all can do that. Every single one of us has the potential to speak to yourself, first of all, what you would call your soul, your higher being, your guardians, your God, whatever it is. Every single person has the potential to do that, or is doing that. We just are not aware we're doing that, right? Because there's almost like creating. You can't stop creating. It's just, are you going to create something in a positive fashion, or you're going to create something in a negative fashion, right? But we're never not giving out this energy, right? Almost like thought is energy. Before anything that you see here was created, somebody thought about it. So thought is the first step. You need to understand that every thought is energy, and every thought that you give out will go out and find its opposite. Right? It goes out and says, "Oh, what's like me?" Just like you're sitting thinking of something, and all of a sudden it happens. That thought you gave out matched this other one, and then oh, there it is, right? So we need to understand that every thought has energy. We don't think that because we think we if we understood that, we would watch what we think. But we don't put energy in thoughts, so we just think, oh, let me think this, think that. I'm going to do this to this person or that person, and we think nothing of it. But as it comes out, it is created, and it goes out and finds things that are like it and brings it back to the creator, because you created that thought. You're tied to that thought, and you'll never get away from being tied to that thought. Right? It's your thought. You're with it forever. Everybody has that. Anything you do, you're tied to it. Right? Like whoever created us, they're tied to us forever. And whoever we create, whether it's a table we build, whether it's a child we have, whatever we create, we're tied to forever. Whether we never see them again, physically, we're tied to that creation forever, for lack of a better word. Infinitely, we are tied. So we need to understand that we are creating these things that are happening to us. Right? I gave this speech before. Probably this is maybe the third time, but this is a different speech than I gave the last time. Because nothing stays the same. Even if I give this speech tomorrow, it will be a different speech. You know, and for me, but again, the important thing is going to be, what do you do with what you hear or what you think I'm saying? Right? It's there. So you got all those are your thoughts, and you need to realize, hey, I control all those thoughts. And so the question was, hey, how do I know where I'm going? I have this thing here. It says, do not swim, float. Right? Because you just are going to guide where you go. Right? Swimming is you're swimming against what's happening. The float is to relax and notice that there's a current, and so I want to go that way, and this is the way I'm going, and I'm going to use the current. Right? And so you have to, I want to be a great speaker. So what am I going to do? I'm going to look at great speakers, or who I think are great speakers. And so I'm going to flow. I'm not going to be like tied to exactly what they say, but this is what I want to do. So I'm going to look at people that do that. Those are my thoughts. And these have been my thoughts since I've been doing this probably 25 years or so. Those were my thoughts back then. Almost I didn't know because I was just studying. But those are my thoughts, and those are my thoughts going forward. So whatever you want to do, find somebody that does that better than you. And it may not be better, it may be just a different way. And that's how you're gonna drive your bus where you want to go. What do I want to do when I'm 70? I want to be doing more of this that I'm doing now. Right? So whatever I want to be doing, I'm going to be thinking about that. I'm going to be thinking about traveling and speaking and lecturing. And I'm going to watch people that do that. And so that's how I'm going to go. And so you have to decide, where do you want to go, or what do you want to do? Right? People say, hey, I want to come and I want to study with you. And then it's like, well, what do you want to learn about? Right? Because I can feed you information for days. I could stand here for days and feed you information. it's only important really to me. To you, you have to decide, what do I want to do? Where do I want to go? What do I want to learn? Do I want to learn about healing? There's 100 ways to heal, right? Do I want to learn about physical mediumship? There's all different kinds of ways, table tipping, boards, any kind of way, looking in the tea, reading tea leaves, right? What do you want to do? Do you want to be a healer? Then, okay, let's start looking at, hey, what do you know about the body? Do you just know I have feet, or do you also know that, how do you breathe? Do you realize that if I breathe, it's different if I breathe this way than if I breathe this way? This way my breath is upper, and this way my breath is lower. Do we understand little nuances like that? So there are many little things that we need to understand, even about ourselves, even as a human being, right? What ticks you off? What pushes you over the edge? What is that? And that's the thing that's your goal then. Because once you look at that, then that's the only hurdle. Those things that irk you are the things you need to look at, and then just looking at them versus shoving them under the rug, you'll actually go through those things. That's how you grow. Because you're not going to grow by all the things that are nice and cool. You're going to grow by the things that don't feel like they're working. So everybody needs to understand what really ticks me off, and go inside and say, why is that hurting me? Why do I feel that way about that thing? Is it something that happened before? It's like sometimes when people get mad at you, they are really not mad at you. You're just the focal point. They're mad at something that happened last week, last year, 10 years ago. Some people carry baggage 20 years that they're still mad at stuff, right? So again, when people get mad at me, that's my job. You call me, you escalate a call to me. I understand you're not mad at me. Get it out, look at it, and then let's go through it, right? So these little nuances we need to find out, and these things come up just so they can be fixed. All these things come up just so they can be fixed. Everybody's talking about ascension and raising your vibration, right? In this spiritualism avenue, when you start dealing with it, everything that is contrary to that will come up, right? So people come in here and then all stuff starts to happen. It's just coming up because at some level you said, okay, I'm ready. Let's look at this and let's fix this. Right? So ascension is just pretty much just dropping this baggage, this weight that we are carrying that we don't necessarily have to carry. Right? As energy beings, we are balanced. We are joyful. As a baseline, we are joyful, positive, floating people. Right? But most people don't see that. Most people, watch these other things and decide, oh yeah, I'm mad, or we're all mad, or, and so the more we think of that, the more weight we add, and the further down we go on this little scale away from being balanced, right? Away from being raised in our consciousness. Now, the earth, as energy-wise, is also raising its consciousness. Everything is moving up. Whatever you can think about, whatever it is, everything is moving up, right? Not just the earth is ascending. Everything you can think about, every planet, everything is moving up in the universe, right? And the reason we have issues now is because we have to drop the negative baggage, right? When you see issues, in the health world, medication, or the financial stuff, politically, right? To move up, they have to drop the negativity. And so that's why it's coming up. It's not coming up that we can say, oh, you're this or you're that. It's kind of so we can be like, oh, this needs to be addressed. So we can move forward and upward, right? And so everything that we think is negative just needs to be addressed. So we can, so that it can get balanced and it can float and we can move forward as an individual, as a group consciousness, we all have to understand these energetics, right? So, but everybody's in control of anything that comes out of this machine, right? We got to take responsibility, right? There are a couple. There are a couple things I used to study with Osho a while back, and I used to like his information because it was almost like I could read a book, but it's almost like what he was saying to me was singing a certain chord or something. It was sweeter than what all the other stuff I was reading, and so some of these things are good to remember, and he called them 10 Commandments. Right, versus what somebody else told us about some other things. Not saying they were right or wrong. This is just another version. The first one is, obey no command unless it is a command from within. Right? And everybody know why that is? Because your teacher, and I post about this, your master, your answer is going to be from within. Any answer I give you, and I like the word tainted because if it comes through this being, this body, all this mind and all this stuff I've studied, it's tainted with all that stuff, whatever I tell you. Right? So whatever, if again, you want to know where you want to go, close your eyes, ask yourself, where do you want to go? What's good for me? Right? You get connected to your core, your spirit, your soul, you're a gatekeeper, whatever you want to call it. That's going to be the command you understand that is for you. Right? What I'm telling you is for me. Work for me, works for me. You got to figure out what worked for you. And again, you don't have to go to somebody else to do that because, again, whatever they tell you comes through their family, their soul family, their whole vibe, and comes to you. Same for me. And then if you were to give somebody else a message, the same for them. And so your most authentic message will come from you, right? From your inner being or whatever you want to call it. Okay? There is no God other than life itself. So we need to spread out this thing, reinterpret this thing that we call God. What is that? What do we want that to be? To me, in my opinion, when I say God, I mean creator, as in there is nothing before that, or energy that was here from the get-go, that everything is made of, right? I don't put a name on it. Sometimes I hate to put a name on it because when I say God, everybody says, oh, I know what that is. Whatever they were brought up to think that is, right? So again, God is an individual path. It's different for every single person depending on where you've been in your life, and your family. So that's one thing you got to decide, hey, this is what I think this is, right? Because your God can't exclude animals. Or I'm sorry, my God doesn't exclude animals or trees or other people, no matter where they're from. Right? Because, when I was growing up, it was like I was a Methodist and I read English, and this was an English book, the Bible. But what about the people in the Himalayas who don't speak English and who don't have that book? Am I going to exclude them? And so as my life went on, this is what, I come to take that God as. I am inclusive of everything. Even negativity, because there's a balance between negative and positive on every single level. Right? Okay, and so truth is within, seek not elsewhere. Almost the same thing, right? Love is prayer. Easy. Emptiness is the doorway to truth. Emptiness is the means, the destination, and the attainment. And to me, emptiness is just your letting go of all the negativity or what you even think about people, good or bad. I remember I was in this space, and this happened probably a month ago or so, where it was like everything. I didn't have any questions. It was like, Wanda, can you turn that heat down? It was like, yeah, it was like I didn't have any questions. I was okay with everything. I almost like if I was in communication with everything. Whatever I needed to know, I knew. It was a fleeting moment, but I think that's emptiness, where you let go of all the things, let go of all moms in the hospital, let go of that, right? The kids are giving trouble, let go of that, right? The kids are having issues. So and so once I let go of that, it was almost like I floated back to this equilibrium. And so that's what I call emptiness. You're just empty of all the negative thoughts or even positive thoughts, right? And then almost like I was connected to everything at that level. I knew everything at that level. My task now is to stay there for longer periods, whether it's meditation or what. That's my task is now how can I stay there more and more, and get back to that. Again, that almost was like I was in the presence of God or something, right? And so that was emptiness. Again, do not. Okay, live fully awake. Right? I could talk about that for days. Live fully awake. Because most people don't really live. Most people are dying. Right? They're dying. They don't live. I'm not going to go there because this will happen to me. Versus I'm going to go and I'm going to look both sides and then I'm going to go. There are some people say, I'm not even going to go. Right? So that level of energy, you're dying. Even though there's no such thing as death, you're not living. Right? And so you got to live every moment. Almost again, every moment is a fresh moment. Right? For me, I keep thinking the same thing over and over, and so I grow the same beard. I grow the same hair because I keep thinking the same thing over and over and over and over. Even though each moment, the next moment is different. The next moment is different. The next moment is different. Right? So I have to live fully every moment. I'm going to do the best I can do. I'm going to be the best person I can this moment and the next one. Right? A little difficult to get my head around that sometimes. Okay. Die each moment so that you grow anew each moment. Right? And when you say die, people just go nuts right away. Because in their opinion, die means everything is over. There's nothing else. So I didn't get to do this. I didn't get to go to India. I didn't get to go there. I didn't get to go to Europe. Right? When people say die, that's what they think. But in our religion, we don't think that way. Everything moves, everything changes position or changes energy. Every single thing. You're just switching positions almost. To me, there's physical and there's non-physical. You're just switching positions. Right? The fact that we can't see them is where people get stuck. But we don't understand that, hey, something goes on. That's our religion. That's what we preach or teach. There's life after life. And so that's why we have mediums that come and can bring people from your past. And the reason we do certain physicalness is because we want to prove to you that that's the same person that crossed over. So that's why they come and they give us their aches and pains so that we can identify that person to you. Oh yeah, he passed from an accident. That's why my head's hurting. Right? And so we want to prove that to everybody else. We already know it. But that's our thing, is to prove that that really does exist. Right? And so people just need to live like this is the last moment. Right? I did a lot of research on past life experience or near-death experience. And 99% of those people, when they come back, they're like, if I want to jump out of a plane, I'm going to go jump out of a plane. Because they want to live to their fullest, almost like I got another chance. Right? And I should have been doing this all along. And so that's the experience I get from near-death experience, where it's like, oh, I keep putting this off. I need to do this now. That's living in the now. I want to do this now, now. And then if you don't, then okay, cool. I'm gonna do it, the next now, right? So it's always good to live in the now. A couple things I'm gonna close with, and I'll have a couple of questions if you got them. Let go of comparing, because really we are all unique beings. There's nobody else like you. Even if you're a twin, there's nobody else like you. There are some little quirk that they're different than each other, right? Snowflakes are different than each other, even though for us they look the same. Every single person is different. So comparing, what are you comparing? To something that is not even close to you. Right? That's what people do. We compare. So let go of comparing. Almost let go of competing. I had to deal with that for a while. Right? Let go of competing. Only because in competing, somebody wins and somebody loses. Right? And so in our reality, we put pressure on the person that loses, because then they feel bad, or because I lost, right? I'm not saying we don't compete. I'm saying we got to think of the way we compete. Now let's take the fastest guy in the world. What's his name? Bolt. Usain Bolt. All right. So he's a competitor, right? So his job is to be faster than the next person. Even if it's 1 second or 2 seconds, I'm just going to be faster than the next person. We're comparing, right? We're competing. What if we were to be able to let him run without that constraint? How fast could he go? If he weren't competing, we don't even know how fast he can go. Because competition just says, I just want to beat the next person. Not really that I want to be my utmost best. Right? And so I'm not saying stop competition. I'm saying understand what it is. Sometimes the person that loses is going to gain the most, because he has this thing like, I have to be better. I have to up my game. Right? Let's work on a way that we can work with them to up their game without feeling I got beat. Right? Which has a certain vibration to it. Okay? Let go of judgments. Right? Because we were never taught these things. Let go of judgments. Why? Because you really can't judge anybody else. You can say, I hate them. You can say they do good work or do bad work. Means nothing to them at all. It means something to you because you're giving off your vibration of judgment or non-judgment or whatever it is. Right? Has nothing to do with them. We can want them to go to jail for whatever they did. That energy affects them in no way. It affects you in every single way, though. Whatever you're putting out, something will come back. That's one of those natural laws. What you give off comes back. Right? So judgments is hard sometimes to let those go, but again, that's weight you're carrying that you don't have to carry. You're creating stuff when you didn't have to, right? And we don't think of that as energy, but that's energy that you're giving off. When you're mad, that's energy you're giving off. It's energy. And it says, I want some more of that. Give me some more of that. And that's what I always say, the universe is a big copy machine. Whatever you kick out, it says, I'll give you some more of that. That's what it does. The law of attraction is a good way to explain it. That's how it does. You give it off, it says, I give it back. And people say, why is the same thing happening? Because you keep giving it off. And the universe keeps giving it back because that's its job, is to give you back. And so what do? You give off positive vibes, then you get more back. Easy, right? It takes time. Sounds easy, because in my life at this point, I used to think you had to go to school, this grade, this grade, this grade, this form, this class, this college, this, and then I'm going to be successful, and that's not the case. Because you can be successful as a child. If you watch TV now, you'll see little kids doing things because they'll be like, that's the norm. I don't care about that. I want to do this right now. But we were taught this. All right, I did some research. You go look at most billionaires, multimillionaires. Most of them never finished school. The ones that are top that decided, I'm out, I'm going to do my own thing. This is where I want to go. I don't care what you tell me. And forward they went. All right? So we got to change the way we're teaching our kids and stuff like that. Let go of, this is the same thing as judgments. Let go of anger. Let go of regrets. Again, all those do is put extra weight on you that you don't really need. Right? That stops your cork from floating, as Abraham says. Your cork floats naturally. Positivity. Unless you start dealing with these things like regret and worry and blame and guilt and fear. Right? All these things, again, they're just energy. They're going to go out and they're going to manifest more like it. Because that's just the way energy works. Right? So we need to understand energy, and then all these things we call natural law and stuff will make sense. Right? Jesus makes sense to me now. Right? Because I understand that he understood natural law and how things work and how I can change water into wine. Because I understand that in this space, I can pull energy out of it. That's what Tesla was doing with all his work. He was pulling electricity out of the ethers. We call it free energy, or the 0 point, which is wherever you are, that energy is there. Right? And so that's the energy that when we put out, it repeats. So we just don't realize that we have so much power, that we can create worlds, or we can create things that nobody's seen before. We don't create them because nobody says it. I haven't seen it, so I don't believe it. Right? That's why these kids come in. I see it already. I'm going to do it. And then we say, oh, that's cool. But that's natural law, that whatever you do, whatever you want will come. All right? You just got to push forward. And so I am going to ease up. And does anybody have any questions right now?
The judgment thing, I'm really struggling with, especially, political climate.
Mm-hmm.
You stay active and engaged and involved in trying to help things, but not let the judgments and the fear and the anger of all that set you back. That I'm really struggling with.
Once you realize that you're driving your bus, once you really realize that, then you won't take on those passengers. Right? Like when I look at the television and I see the president, okay, cool. But I'm not taking that up with me in my bus. Right? He has a certain energy. He's kicking up. He does certain things. There are repercussions. If I sit here and I start thinking about all these things, then I get those repercussions. If I sit here while they're doing crazy and I sit and be calm and collective, then whatever I need comes to me through me. Right? And so everything that I do affects me. Everything that you do, you think, you say, affects you. Right? So Abraham used to say, or says, one person who is connected can do more than a million who are not. So once you get really connected and you really feel your energy in line, then none of that will affect you. It's happening. To me, there are people who are supposed to shout and go do all that. That's not my task. My task is to get in my meditative spot, relax, send energy out to everybody who's unbalanced or sick, as we call it. My mom included, my sister, my brother, whoever. Right? That's my task, is to do that. And I believe I can do more good if I focus that way versus if I point my if I reflect what they're showing me. Right? But the most important thing is whatever I give out, I get back. Whatever I feel about them or saying about them, I'm pretty much saying about myself. Whatever negativity I say, I'm talking about myself if I keep doing that. And that doesn't help me. It doesn't affect them. No matter what names I call that person, it doesn't affect them at all. It just affects me. And I'm an energy generator, as we all are. And so you have to understand, I have so much power, I could make that building move if I wanted to. You have to realize you have so much power running through you that if you think a negative thought, it will affect you and not that person. And it takes time, because we think the answer is out there. I can fix out there. I can fix out there. But you can't fix out there. You can only fix it in here. Nothing else you can fix, right? And the deal is we just got to get more people to focus in here. The more people we get to focus in here, the faster those things will change. Because most people don't look in here. Most people look out there. Even this came to me when I was studying, and I'm studying for this lecture, and I'm looking at this old information, and it said, you're looking out there for the answer, which is in here. Right? And so it's like, okay, but I got to try to remember this information. Right? I'm not there yet, but we all have to look within. Right? If we want to fix the climate, we have to look within, because we have so much energy and power that we can do that. They don't teach us that in school, so everybody thinks, I got to go out there and do that. I got to go out there and do that. Or that's happening to me, and that's happening to me. Whereas everything is happening through you. Whatever you think about, whatever you want is happening through you. That's why I say God works through you. When you start doing stuff, everything is working through you. Not to you, but through you. Everything, whatever you think about, the energy comes out. Whatever you don't think about, then there's no channel for it to come. So you got to think, I think everything is going to work out. Right? No matter what the chaos is that they keep showing me. Television, chaos. No matter what they show me, everything is going to be cool. Everything is going to work out. Right? About, the murder and all that. Yeah, that happened. People show us that because that's what they want us to keep thinking, so we keep making them money. If they were to tell us, if you stop thinking about, about driving using oil, it will never happen again. They're not going to tell us that. They're going to say, come get a bigger car, come get a smaller car, a faster car. Because that's the machine. But you have to, I forgot how Jesus said it, be in it but not of it. I usually get that mixed up. You can be here and it can be all around you, and it doesn't have to affect you until you say, that's what it is, that's a murder, that's a killing, that's a robbery, that's assault, that's abuse. And then all that stuff starts coming back to you. You get to see more of it, more of it, more of it. I'm not saying don't look at it. I'm just saying look at it and let it go by. And find out where your spot is that you want to project. Where do I want to go? Where do I want to take my energy? Do you want to help the world? We can't. You can help yourself. And as we all do that, then we all can help the world. Do you want to feed the hungry? We have to start like, hey, did you think about feeding your neighbor yet? Or do we want to help the kids in Ethiopia first? Right? Some things are never going to happen because they really don't exist on that level. Until everybody decides, I am healthy, I am fed, more food comes because I keep saying that. And then other people will do that and say, oh, I like the way that's working. And then all of a sudden, everybody's fed. Right? So it's just your perspective. Almost is like, don't chase after. It's like you see a dog and he's chasing a bird and he's barking and barking and barking. We do that to our thoughts. They come, we chase it. We try to chase every single thought. Me now, it's like they come and I watch them and they go. And then I pick my battles, which are the ones I want to move forward with. Right? What feels good to me? What feels good to my heart? You know, do I feel like I should give this guy $5 at the corner? No, I don't. Do I feel like I should give him $5 at the corner? Yes. Right? But I don't put any judgment on any blame. Why you're on the corner? I have no idea why you're in the corner. That may be something you did 20 years ago, 30 years ago, or even further back. Right? You got to get out of the corner. I can wish you well because I know it'll come back to me. Right? So little things like that. Right? It's almost like back home we used to say good morning to everybody. Walking down the street, you know, catching the bus. Good morning, Mr. Jordan. Good morning, Mr. Jones. Right? Everybody was open. Whereas now people like, you don't even say it. You know, we can't even talk to the guy next door, but yeah, we still want to save the world, right? So we got to start by ourselves, and then it spreads that way. Almost like it's lasting that way. Whereas if I help you now, you know, then that's gone, and you do the same thing. It's like if I help me now, and then everybody gets helped. Because they're gonna feel something about you that's balanced, that's good, and then they're gonna say, I like that, I want to do that. Because they have to choose, I want to do that. If you want to talk to the angels, you have to say, I want to talk to the angels. If you want to talk to your gatekeeper, I want to talk to my gatekeeper. I need some help. They don't just come and do stuff because that's not the way the energy works. Right? Make a little sense? It takes time, you know?
That does. I think the only part that I've struggled with is like the environmental things that are happening, things that are happening to animals.
Right.
That really hurts me because that's my church. That's so important.
Right.
Once those things are ruined and extinct.
Right.
So I struggle. It just hurts.
Right. Right.
More judgment around that, I think, than anything.
Right.
And I don't know how to do that.
It will take, yes.
Of course, you know, I have one of my Wanda questions. Okay, in reading the Bible, the few times I've read it, the stories, the New Testament, I'm reading the story about how Jesus went to the temple and destroyed all the money changers. And the nuns explained it to me that was righteous anger. Now, how is that different than getting regular anger?
I don't know that it's any different. Again, I don't understand all the things in the Bible.
No, I don't.
But I don't understand. To me, anger is anger.
Well,
It comes from a negative kind of a spot.
They're making a distinction. In other words, like if I get angry at you because you hit my car, but maybe the implication to me was that it was wrong what they were doing and Jesus stopped it. But that was righteous anger. There was like a difference. It was okay to be angry in that regard, but not okay to be angry in another regard.
And I don't know, and again, I really don't subscribe to that.
Yeah.
Right? Because who knows, what was the atmosphere at that time, and did he really kick him over? Because I also understand when you start getting into natural law, you can make things move. Like you can make water into wine, but you have to knock over some things physically. Right? Again, they don't equate to this Jesus guy I've been studying and researching. Right? So I don't subscribe to it. I believe anger is anger. I believe you can hurt yourself when you're so tied up and knotted up. Right? And you can be great by just being relaxed and open and using ectoplasm to create things, and pulling things out of the air. Sai Baba used to do that. Out of ectoplasm, you can have stuff and you can be fed. And so just have to say I don't subscribe to that. Anger is anger to me,
Okay.
right? That's just the way it feels to me. And again, when I deal with energy and somebody that feels like Jesus, I don't see that happening. I can see somebody doing it and saying, "Oh, he told me to do it," or "I felt like that," but I don't see that person saying that there's this kind of anger and then there's this kind of anger. I can see him saying, "Good is the best way to go." I don't even see him saying that word. I'm saying, "This is the way you go. This is what you want to do. This is how you should do it," right? And so that's what I see. But the judgment thing in the animals, again, the way we treat animals has to be addressed. Because I don't really call my animals aren't animals. They sleep in the bed sometimes. They sit in my lap. So that's family. And so until people start treating those things as people, again, because they're alive and they can think, and trees, they're doing the same thing to trees, because we think trees are just trees and they're just animate objects that do nothing. Again, without those, we wouldn't be here, because they breathe out oxygen. They breathe in carbon dioxide. Right? So the animal things, we have to, again, I always say, enlightened societies, they are known by the way they treat their children and their older people. Right? That's what we're known by. And animals are included in that. How do we treat them? And until we treat them a certain way, we can't move up. And so these things are coming out because now most people are noticing it. But I applaud you for sitting in that space, because that's a tough space. But what you need to remember is what I think about affects me. And what I think about, like, passionately, it affects me more.
Yeah.
Right? And so at some point you need to realize, okay, can I leave that energy over there, and go home, which usually you can, because if you see it, you're it, kind of. Right? So you have to understand that I feel sorry for you guys, I know y'all are helping, give them all the love you can, even if it's for a minute. And they will be like, "Oh, relax." And who knows what happens when they get relaxed and what happens on their spiritual level, right? Some things say, "Hey, you know what? I'm going to come to this earth this time, and I'm going to be the victim so that we can wake up," right? It's tough at certain levels. Again, I applaud you for sitting in that space, because it would be tough for me, right? But because we go by sometimes and we look at them and we play with them and look at them and then we leave them there, because we got three at home that, we foster already and stuff. But again.
Globally, like when they go extinct, all this environmental stuff that's going down.
Yeah, but it's.
Balance, like when
Yeah,
it
it's.
goes extinct, like something else is going to have to go
That,
too, and eventually.
and this teacher told me, he said, we've been lied to for thousands of years, right? About how all of this works, how this third dimension works, how all the other dimensions work. So somebody says it's instinct, and then all of a sudden somebody comes back and says, "Oh, I found one." Right? So to me, things don't go extinct. They may change form and go on to something different. But to me, things don't go extinct, because nothing dies. Energy is just energy through infinity. Right? It just changes form. Take the ice and the water and the steam. We don't say, "Oh, the ice died. Let me just use the water." We just say, "Okay, I'm going to use the water. I'm going to use this form." Right?
I couldn't get there.
Right. Make sense?
Yeah.
Right. And that's just on different levels. So they just change form. So they're not extinct. They're here to help us and show us a lesson. This is how crazy you are. This is how crazy you are. Let's fix it. And as people see it, then we fix it. It gets fixed. But we're evolving. At some point, I would expect that not to be so prevalent, but we have to not think of them as animals, because we think animals are like down there and we're up here. Not at all. Right?
That
All right.
helps. Thank
Makes
you.
sense? Okay.
Sit with
If
that.
it's a
Yeah.
business, I don't subsidize them.
Right.
Like, trophy hunters,
Oh, yeah.
I don't buy any of their
Right.
products, and I tell
Right.
people not to buy it.
Right. So you don't support them. You don't give them that energy, and then,
Currencies that.
But I also
Right.
let them know why.
Yeah. And I guess that's where I'm struggling, is how to be active and out there and make a statement and affect change in some way.
Right.
And not let it,
Yes.
knock me to my knees
If
every
it
day,
hits
because
them.
I want to stay in there.
Right. And you're activating change now. I don't know anybody else that comes in here that you're activating change by just being in that environment. And then once you are in that environment with your energy, you set your energy in your direction, then that environment changes. It has to, because you have so much power coming through you that they have to change. Almost like I forgot the word that it's used. Whereas you put things close together and the energy between them starts to rub off.
Right.
Right? I forgot the word. And then everything is like that, where you get close and you don't have to touch it,
Right.
but you're there and it's like, oh, I know what that is. Something in me feels, right? And so you're in that space, so you're doing good. You just now gotta realize, oh, I have all this power sitting right here with all these animals, whether they're in pain or not. They're at some level, they're nice and good and cool and happy. Try to get to that level where it's like, okay, I love you. And then they're like, they forget everything.
Yeah.
Everything to that point, they forget. Because they're like, oh, I'm loved. They're not like us. We don't hang on to it like humans. They're like, okay, that's all I need. So whatever you can do for 1 minute, then you're good. Okay? All right, cool. Let me ease up on my mouth. So thank you for letting me spill. If you have any questions, let me know. I can research those for you.